Investigator Bill Daley. Bill, great to have you here. You have been with us throughout this story, and it's been 3+ weeks now. And it does feel like there's a degree of lost support from the public watching this case, perhaps some skepticism over how this investigation is being run. Where are your thoughts on that?
Well, Sandra, I think that it has been 3 weeks. This is a more complicated case than all of a sudden have, I call this aha moment, where you have an immediate suspect or suspects that are kind of in near proximity to this case. You kind of round them up and it kind of moves forward and towards prosecution. This one's a bit more complicated. We've talked about this before with regard to the crime scene. The evidence being collected needs to be processed. I do say that the fact that police have not been communicating is good for a couple of reasons. It's not good for the family and not good for the community. But from an investigative standpoint, it A, doesn't provide information to the killer or killers, or it doesn't provide information to people who are potentially being interviewed, where they could be polluted by things that they say. And thirdly, it doesn't pollute the prosecution, which is very key in this, is they need to keep their eyes on the long game here. And that is, when they catch the person, and I believe they will, hopefully sooner than later, they need to look for a prosecution and make sure that nothing's been tainted or could be used and to reverse a prosecution.
You sound optimistic and hopeful that the investigation is progressing, and hopefully we will learn more very soon. Bill, we're learning a bit more about the possible point of entry for this suspect. We can put up sort of this diagram that shows the Idaho home off-campus home floor levels, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor. It appears that Kaylee Goncalves' father believes that the suspect chose to go upstairs. He believes that the girls upstairs were targeted because of the point of entry on the second floor. The suspect chose to go upstairs.
And certainly this has merit. And there's something around we've discussed from the beginning of this case, that there may have been some targeting, that this was not just a random crime, because there were 2 other people in the house that were not victimized. And if somebody was in there to kill as many people as they could, they would have gone through the home and killed everyone else. And the fact that father has pointed out this access on the second floor does kind of jive with what police have been looking at over the past couple of weeks. We've seen them on the hillside behind the home. They've been examining that point of entry. And I think if we're looking at this as being a hypothesis, it certainly leads credence to it. And I'd also say the police, though, do need to also, and have been, I'm sure, keeping an open mind to this. Because once you start looking at one particular aspect of this, you can kind of put blinders on. And I'm sure they're trying to look at a kind of a broad spectrum of potential suspects and reasons why these 4 young people were killed.
This is so brutal for a father to even imagine this. But Kaylee's father, as you just saw in that interview, appeared on Lawrence Jones Cross Country, and he goes on to hint that his daughter's wounds were significantly more brutal, also indicating to him, he says, that perhaps she or her friend that were upstairs were targeted. Listen.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's,
they don't,
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral.
Just so heartbreaking for these parents, what they're going through. But he seems to be drawing some conclusions based on what he has been told from police so far. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think, it would concur with the other elements of this hypothesis, is that if they were the targets of it, that this was a very personal type of attack and assault. Certainly, we've talked about at the beginning of this, where stabbings are up-close, personal type of assaults. And the fact that no one is going to reveal themselves so far as being potentially the person who is going after it means that maybe there was something that went on some time ago. It doesn't mean that it happened that night or a week or 2 before. But I've seen cases post my FBI experience where it's been 2 years when someone has come back and who have been felt disenfranchised or in some way, anyway, dissed, and harbored that resentment, harbored that feeling, and then came back and committed killing. So it is possible that this is something that's why it may be more difficult for police to find out who the suspect is. It could be further back in the past and very nuanced and very kind of veiled only in the killer's mind.
And at this point, that suspect could be anywhere now. It could be walking among these college kids on campus, or even the friends or some of the survivors, or this person could be...
Or it may not even come from the area. It could have been something on the home front. We just don't know.
So much we don't know still. Bill, thank you very much.